talk to you about birth, specifically home birth. I was very lucky and I'm so grateful to have had two really positive home birth experiences, and I'd like to share that with you. I remember when I was first pregnant and trying to decide, where to give birth and how and everything, and researching it all. And, it's a really tough decision. I think it is the first decision we make as parents. And then from then on, we continue to make so many different decisions about health and education and so many different things that will, ultimately decide where and how we parent. And birth is the first of such decisions, and it's a hard one because it's something new. And for me, it took a lot of research to decide to go with the home birth option. And what really decided it for me was I rang around different hospitals and midwives, and also listening to my friends who had previously given birth to me. And in particular, I had two friends who gave birth the year before I became pregnant, and one had quite a negative experience in a hospital in Dublin, and one had a really positive experience at home, in her home in Cork. So I was really lucky that both of those friends were very honest with me as to how their births went and how they felt about it, and gave me kind of an insight into the two different sides, I suppose. And then doing my own research, as part of the research, I rang a home birth midwife in my area, and just speaking to her. And then later, when we invited her to our home to speak to both of us when we were deciding, which kind of type of care we were going to decide on, that really, really helped us decide, because she stayed for 2 hours. And not only the first time, but every single time she came to visit us during the pregnancy and birth, obviously for the whole birth, and then afterwards as well. And just the level of care and the relationship that's built and the trust is just phenomenal. I think it's central to home birth, and I think it's something that most people don't really think about. I didn't think about that before I decided. For me, it was the main benefit of home birth, in my opinion. It wasn't the location, more so it was the kind of care and the quality of care and the quantity of care with the same person consistently. And that is really important when it comes to birth, because for birth you have to feel safe and secure, and you have to trust who's supporting you. And I really found it so positive to have my home birth midwife. So she is one of a very few, unfortunately, midwives in Ireland who are self-employed. When I was researching the different options, there were, private care in a hospital with a consultant, which is very expensive, but I looked into all the different options and rang around, and I didn't get to speak to any consultants but some secretaries. And then there's a semi-private option in the hospital, and then there's a public option in the hospital, and then there's home birth. And when I was looking into it, the only home birth option was with a self-employed community midwife, because I didn't fall into the catchment area of any of the home birth schemes for hospitals. There are several in Ireland. And also there were no private midwifery home birth services, whereas now there are two, which is great, but also very expensive. But it's great to have the options. So we went with home birth, but what was really important was our midwife at the first visit. She said, look, you don't have to commit straight away, and if you like, you can commit, but as we go along, if you decide in the middle of your pregnancy, look, this isn't for me, I'm going to go to hospital instead, then that's perfectly fine. And that was really nice. There was no kind of pressure. It was kind of see how we get on, and we got on great with her. It was like antenatal education every time she called over. We, as I said, spent 2 hours. We'd sit, have a cup of tea, and just go through everything and anything. And there was no rushing. There was no, okay, that's it, now it's time to go. It was very calm and thorough, and just it was a lovely relationship that was built up over that time, over the 9 months. And then the two births were they were just amazing, really empowering, and just felt amazing afterwards, because I didn't have any interventions, obviously, because I was at home. But because I didn't have any interventions, I had all the natural endorphins, and they just make you feel incredible, you know. And if you have interventions, you don't get those natural endorphins, which ease the pain of the contractions. So yeah, that was an amazing, amazing experience. Oh yeah, I have to just mention the aftercare of a home birth is incredible. So my midwife called over to me every day for 2 weeks after the birth. We talked about it, we talked through the birth. You know, I think that's really important to kind of process how it goes and to kind of come to an understanding of, okay, you know, and this happened and why did that happen, and to go through it. It was like having a counsellor nearly. And she talked to me about the baby blues, and I was prepared like on day 2 for that emotional kind of overwhelming, crazy, just weepy and things like that. I was really, I knew that was coming because she had prepared me for it, and she sat down and talked me through it, and it was just amazing having that support through that postpartum time, which is, I've heard, can be so overwhelming. And it is I found it a huge change, but at the same time with the support, I found it an incredible experience. I just loved every single minute of it, and I felt that I was in a cocoon during that time, and so supported and kind of held. She was amazing at helping with breastfeeding as well, which, as you've seen from my other vlogs, you need a lot of support for that too. So yeah, she's a lactation consultant, so and was a La Leche League leader as well. So she had an amazing amount of experience and expertise on that too. And then for the birth, she was incredible, and at just allowing me to go at my own pace and do my own thing and not interfering at all, and just being a presence there and a reassurance. And it was amazing. So then when we found out we were pregnant with our second, the first person I rang was my midwife. And yeah, so having her then for my second birth of my son was amazing. It was like a continuation. It was like an old friend calling over every time she came for a visit, and we had built up that relationship already, so there was no kind of, it was easy, you know, it was just kind of a chat. And it was very different though as well, because obviously I had a toddler, and we talked through how that would all work with the toddler at home during the home birth and everything. Another really important aspect of home birth, and it was important for us as first-time parents, was knowing and trusting that our midwife was completely skilled and capable to do everything that she needed to do, and also that she knew if and when we needed to transfer. So just because I was having a home birth, it didn't mean that I had no contact with any hospital. I was booked into the Rotunda Hospital in Dublin. It was the nearest one to me, and I got my bloods done there, and I got my scans, and I did my gestational diabetes test, the glucose test, because there's diabetes in my family, and I found it fine. I had no issues at all with going to the hospital. They were efficient-ish. I had to wait around 2 hours to see each time I went, of course, and then I got to see the person, whoever I was seeing, for 10 minutes, and it was a different person each time. But I think that's what it's like in the hospitals. I think that's normal. So knowing, like, they had my files there, and I trusted that if something were to happen, or if things changed and my midwife felt I needed to transfer, I trusted her completely to make that decision. I think that was really important to my husband as well, and the fact that we were so close to the hospital. So yeah, we had plenty of supports, and it was amazing. So I think that it's a really, really viable option for many, many women if as long as you are low risk. So that's important. But most women are. And then as long as it's available in your area. But at the same time, I don't think home birth is for everyone, but I think it's really good that everyone is aware of the different options that are out there. So in the comments below, I'm going to link the Home Birth Association and some of the private midwifery home birth businesses. And yeah, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. Home birth is a really viable option it's something that really worthy of exploring, and I personally found it to be amazing. I had 2 amazingly empowering home births, and yeah, I hope you liked hearing about them. So I'll chat to you again soon. Cheers. Bye bye.